Hey, come catch this wave with the Fixx squad. The Fixx is in. I'm Mr. Soul, I'm tuning in. What you doing?
Stand up. James left, but the king still reigns here. No tears, no love lost, no rain here. Delivers, I promise, Santa rain here. Love for the city still resides here. Fix for your ailment, faith that resides outside the lines. Detox your mind, cause it matters. Art outside the box, we pace better. The Fixx is in, and we rock a channel. We rock with them for what's deep within. Expose those who talk but don't live. Expose those who talk but don't live. Take offense. Judge by the fruit from the tree, but if the fruit
Welcome back, DJ Focus. You tune back into the Fixx, your source for faith-infused hip-hop, R&B, and poetry, right here on SiriusXM, channel 154, Holy Culture Radio, and it's time for our spiritual detox. And listen, we in for a treat today. We know, we do Christian hip-hop here, but it all stems from the gospel roots, and I am excited to welcome in one of the pioneers. I'm going to give him that. He's a multi-award winning singer, songwriter, producer, contemporary gospel star, worship pastor, music mogul. Help me welcome in my brother, Charles Jenkins. What's going on, sir?
It's an honor to be with you, great man.
Listen, the honor's all mine. I appreciate you taking some time out. You got a new EP out that's really touching a lot of people. I know it is because it's special. But first, before we talk about the music, I do want to ask you, because you are always very vocal about your marriage, you and your wife, and y'all connection and just marriages in general. Unfortunately, towards the back end of this pandemic, we saw a lot of kingdom marriages crumble. Yeah. Why do you think that happened?
I think that what the pandemic did for a lot of people is it forced people to actually be together in the same rooms, under the same roof, on a continuum consistently with no break. And so, because of schedules and work and demand, generally people weren't together as often. And so what the pandemic did, what it forced people to actually be reintroduced nonstop. And anytime anybody is with anybody all day long, all night long, there's going to be, a rub, as it were, conflict and challenges and personality disconnects and disagreements, and so I think what happened was actually that conflict was heightened, and then there are all kinds of other ancillary realities. Financial, that's the number one reason for divorce. I understand that financial issues, and so I think even in having conversations with people, if friendship is not fortified, and if there isn't this strong, deep appreciation despite flaws and personality disconnects and disagreements, everything implodes, and people abandon the ship. And I think it's important to always know the Bible says first natural, then spiritual, and so we are human. And so if there's a lack of an ability to manage conflict, or you could love somebody and not like them, and if you're with somebody all day long, you gotta like them. And so I think at my house we had a ball. We were dancing and games, and we're like, wow, right. We get to eat together all day, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so I think all of that plays into it.
Do you think that people have given up on the covenant principles within the marriage?
I think the culture that continues to attempt to move away from scripture and move away from God, I think the culture is fostering an environment that is leading people to rethink the covenant, leading people to rethink, family, what family can be, what family looks like. And I think lots of people in the church are even rethinking it. And the culture, through film, through television, through music, is working very hard. There are people with agendas that are working very hard to dismantle everything that we know to be right true absolutes. I was talking to a pastor the other day that was telling me that there are no absolutes. And we can go we can go we can go really deep here, but I'm like, if you dismantle one thing, then it all unravels. And so, but I think that there are many of us that just believe what's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And even if you violate the covenant, you want to acknowledge that and fix that versus act like the covenant is not even a real thing.
Yeah, that's good. It's funny you brought that absolute conversation up. I've had that with some pastors too as well, back and forth. And yeah, to your point, yes, we agree that we disagree, because I'm either going to believe in the Bible or I'm not. I don't have all these gray areas. I feel like people are making all these gray areas and making up their own theology and stuff. And it's like, no. We can't keep recreating stuff when we feel like we need to recreate stuff. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing when you talk about the Bible.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are approaching the Bible emotionally with presuppositions and laying on top of the Bible what they want to believe and feel versus exegetically extracting from Scripture what it actually was intended to mean and intended to say, with context, what's happening in the passage, pretext, what was happening before it, and syntax, what's actually happening underneath it, to grasp the full truth. But I think that not just with the Bible, people are making up the meanings of new words and old words, what it's always meant, changing definitions, and then speaking to evolution as the justification. And I just think, auntie means auntie. Grandma means grandma. Mom means mom, and dad means dad. And I mean, it's just what it is. But I'm hopeful that there will be more people that will just hold to the pragmatism and not embrace, the agenda to completely unravel what is right, what is practical, and what is true. Even if you're wrong, you know what I'm saying? At least know what right is. That's me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I want to know what right is, though.
Yes. And there's only one truth. To your point, I get tired of people telling me, "Oh, this is my truth." No. There's either one truth, there's a lie. Like, I'm tired of that. So thank you, man. Listen, you bringing up a lot of good points. I appreciate you. Listen, let me get you on this music before I get you out of here. First, listen, you have done music at a high level. Let's be very clear, for a lot of years. I'm curious to know your creative process. Like, how do you create your music? Because I think you infuse worship, gospel, hip hop, a little bit of the urban R&B. Like, how did you come up with your creative process when you go into the studio to even create music?
Here's what's great about what you just said, and you're the first person to say it that way, because over time, I've had different people just want me to do one thing or be one thing. But I was raised in St. Petersburg, Florida. We didn't have a gospel station that played every day. We had Top 40. So I grew up listening to Phil Collins, the Doobie Brothers, Duran Duran, Lionel Richie, James Ingram, George Benson, Michael Jackson. And then I was a hip hop kid. I was an NWA with respect to commission. I was listening to NWA and Eric B. and Rakim, and I go KRS. I can go down the line, and so my uncle was a member of Earth, Wind and Fire, Chester Washington, and
wow,
I was an R&B kid. You know what I'm saying? A Guy fan. I could go down the line on the Jodeci. You know what I'm saying? So what people hear when you hear my music is a hodgepodge of my exposure. We are all the sum total of our exposure. And I got introduced to gospel as a kid too, but I was a hip hop kid. And so, I was actually put in gospel choir as punishment, to keep me from hanging out with my friends. Legit, because I was a professional school skipper. And so at the end of the day, my creative process, I say to people, if you stay close to the creator, you can stay creative. And simultaneously, the music that I listen to timeless, iconic records in all genres. And so, with respect to the people who are creating brand new stuff, if I'm listening to the stuff that's been out here and it's going to be out here. And so, my creative process is a very spiritual process that I can't take credit for, because, again, I'm always in a meditative state. And man, at any moment when I say meditative state, it's not spooky. That word meditate means to give your mind to give your time to. It means to consider. So I always want to be open. I say to people, if you stay close to the creator, you can stay creative. And if you stay open to God everywhere, he can give you what you need anywhere. And so I might write a song in the parking lot of Chuck E. Cheese waiting for my kids to walk out. Or I might write a song at the conveyor belt waiting for my baggage to come off. Or I might write a song on a plane. I wrote My God Is Awesome. I just walked in the house after a long day. I wrote This Means War sitting at my dinner table in some shorts and a tank top, just chilling. And so my records, I just try to. My remake of Stephanie Mills' "Never Knew Love Like This." I was riding in the car one day, the song came to my mind, and I said, "Man, there's no love like the love of God. I wonder would they let me gospelize this and talk about the love of God?" And so, my creative process is literally, as my dear brother Warren Campbell says, taking random dictations from God.
Yeah, that's good. And we know you ain't gonna keep Warren Campbell in no box.
Nah.
So that's good luck with that.
We brothers like blood, and we've done a lot of big records together. And I'll call Warren and be like, "Yo, I got an idea, sing it over the phone." He'll be like, "Oh my God, maybe at the studio tonight." And it could be, R&B-ish. It could be hip hop. I did a song called Winning. That's a hip hop record. And here's the last thing I'll say about my creative process. I know that every song I make may not be for everybody, but it's going to be for a whole lot of somebodies. And that Winning record, Empire, one of the largest hip hop labels, with Ghazi, he told me that record with Winning on it, it's the only gospel they play in their offices at the hip hop label. Kevin Lyles, I ended up connecting with him off that Winning record, and tons of other people in the culture. So I think it's also important to know that whatever you're making, there's a tribe that could be unseen that can gravitate to it, connect with it, and you could be blessing people you don't even know you blessing.
Yeah, that's good. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Were you ever nervous at first, though, when you first came out to even express yourself in that way, worried about what the church would say? Because, you pastoring and just doing, you move a lot different than a lot of other pastors move. Were there moments where you're like, okay, I know I want to put this out, but, I don't know how the church is going to feel about it?
I'm going to go two directions. I'm never nervous when I feel like I've got clarity from heaven. When
That's
God
good.
gives me clarity, then I have conviction, and I'm Mufasa and not Simba. I'm like, I'm going to the wall. It's me against everybody. When I know, that's as far as an assignment. And putting stuff out and doing I never really think about, being judged or I don't feel that. What I did feel was I felt like God, when I first came out, put me in a lane that I didn't feel like was mine. I've never wanted to be an artist. I never wanted to sing in front of anybody for any reason. I was in Chicago serving the people in mass, sitting on boards. I had the privilege to sit on President Barack Obama's steering committee. I helped get Walmart in Chicago. Target was a part of that. Uber. And I'm out here on the ground, and God is like, make music. And so I was mortified around the idea of being something I never wanted to be. And it's a passage, I think, in Amos 7, when Amos says, man, I'm a farmer. My daddy wasn't a prophet. My granddaddy wasn't a prophet, but God took me from the back and put me in the front. And I think there are those moments in life when, you know, God has plans for you you don't have for yourself, and you got to figure out how to rethink and ultimately reinvent and turn into something you never turned into before, like the 1984 animated franchise series Transformers. Different seasons call for a different version of you, and learning to become something you have never wanted to be sometimes is one of the most difficult things. And I remember I was number one when I first Awesome had dropped and the album had dropped, the first album, and I was number one. Um, the head of Live Nation and Jay-Z's manager called me and told me Jay-Z wanted me to come do Made in America. Walmart called Motown and told them they wanted me to be their guest at Essence Fest on the Walmart stage. Israel Houghton called me and said Joel Osteen wanted me to. I'm going everywhere, and I go to this one big date. I'm headlining some concert, and the sound man says to me, "How do you like your wedges?" This is the first big concert. "How do you like your wedges?" I said, "With bacon and blue cheese." And he was like, "What? No, not lettuce. How do you like the speakers?" Man, I didn't even know what wedges were.
Wow.
And he said, "You're number one and you don't know what wedges are? You're closing the show tonight?" I was like, "Nah, I have no idea." At the end of that year, Motown was distributing me. I told Motown, "Guys, thank you for this. This has been great. I'm going back to my regular life. This is not." They were like, "No, you're not going anywhere. You got millions of fans. You're people's favorite singer. We want more from you, more songs, more singing, more." And I had to find a way to will myself to do this.
Wow.
So I think whatever lane or vein anybody that's listening is in, sometimes the season calls for a different version of you, and you got to will yourself to do something and be something you never wanted to be, because God had already had it in you before it was actually on you.
That's good. That's real good. Listen, gospel music changed my life. EP out now. For someone who has not listened to it already, tell us what the inspiration about doing this EP was.
So I called it Gospel Music Changed My Life because, as I mentioned to you, they put me in gospel choir when I was in the ninth grade for punishment, and I hated it because I was a cool kid, but I was thought I was a little tough guy. And my father had passed away, and I thought the way to approach life was the mean mug and do whatever you wanted to do. And I actually formally met Faith, formally started paying attention to ministry and service, and it was where we sang, contemporary and traditional music that people felt. People reacted to because they felt it. And so this EP it harkens back to those days. It's some music that feels like the 70s. I did a song called The Grace of God,
Mm-hmm.
that has got that old feel, but I wanted to make it fresh. I remade Andre Crouch's We Are Not Ashamed. That, I felt like this generation needed that record and that message, and I hip hopped it a little bit. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and you're a hip hop man, so I hope you sign off on that.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, again, I got jazz and R&B in my blood, so it opens with Sweet Sunny Day, a feel-good reminder that no matter what's going on the outside, you want to feel good, think good, do good, look good, on the inside. You know what I'm saying? From the inside out. And Someday, the second record, is more of a 80-ish kind of in memoriam anthem that I created because we all have lost people we will love forever. And I felt like we needed an upbeat song to celebrate the people who have gone on, that will put a smile in our heart, even when we have a tear in our eye. I'm like, for all of the people that we have lost, loved ones that we have lost, like, all the songs can't be sad.
Right.
So I wanted to I lost a bunch of people I loved in the last several years and over time. And I felt really good about making a record that makes us smile when we think about the people we miss. And so, and the new single is God Be Praised. I felt like overall we needed some old soul music, hand clapping, foot stomping, the last track, tambourine, washboard, a Hammond B3. I wanted to make some stuff we could sing on Sunday morning in churches also. So that's the overview of my approach and the spirit of the record.
It's straight fire. So listen, if you haven't listened to it yet, listeners, please go out, stream his latest project. It is straight fire. I think it's a great collection. I'm glad you broke that down because it is a great collection where everybody in the family can listen to this project and sit with it. And that's what we need, more music like this. Listen, I got to get this out here, but I got to ask you, because you a music head. I know you grew up loving music. If you could create a super group with two artists, of course you're a part of the group, from any genre of music, dead or alive, what two artists you picking?
Man, that's the dopest question I done heard. I'm gonna say Uncle Charlie. Man, a super group, just one person, like two people.
Two. No. You still in it? No, it's three. So yeah, you still in the group. It's your group. So who you picking on your right? Who you picking on your left?
Man,
you said Uncle Charlie.
I'm gonna have Uncle Charlie on my right. I'm gonna put Whitney Houston on my left.
Oh my goodness, that's it. That's a drop the mic moment. Listen, Dr. Charles Jenkins, can you tell the people how they can connect with you, follow you on all your social media platforms, where they can go get your music, and as well introduce one of your cuts off this latest project?
Man, I want to thank you for having me. I want to invite all of y'all to join my mailing list at charlesjenkins.com. Drop your email in the mailing list so I can keep up with you and you can keep up with me. All my social media is there. Follow me right now at Charles Jenkins on Instagram, Charles Jenkins Music on Facebook. And listen, the weather forecast for the day, no matter what you're going through and no matter what you're headed to, the weather forecast is it's going to be a sweet, sunny day.
Keep it locked. You're tuned into The Fixx. You know The Fixx is in.
Holy Culture Radio. We're not just background noise. We play the music that inspires you, because every song has a story. Christian hip-hop and R&B music and talk on SiriusXM channel 154, 24 hours a day. Holy Culture Radio is changing the game. Discussions about faith, arts, vocation, and education. We talk about the real issues that affect our communities and work together to find solutions. Join the discussion at holyculture.net and be heard.